Wolfpack, what's going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves. Here with your week 5 fantasy football rankings rundown. We're going to go position by position, go through my tiers, go through fantasy points against, point spreads, all that good stuff that you should be researching to make the most informed decisions. And of course, plenty of my gut is ranked in there. There's plenty of it to be in there, but that will be part of this process as well. So come on in. We'll go position by position again. And of course, if you have any sit-start questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any of them in the live broadcast. If you're not here live, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, so you can always get here right on time and get these updates, get your questions in. But thank you again for being here, Wolfpack. Appreciate it. Again, a thumbs up also helps us get out to more people and would be very appreciated if you like what you're hearing as we go. But let me bring on in my rankings. And we'll just start diving in. We'll go position by position. And you can see here at the top, my locked-in elite cheat code style QBs. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, 1, 2, 3. I think Allen facing off against the team giving up the second most points to QBs in a shootout-style atmosphere. Sunday night football, baby. You got to love him at the top of the rankings. He seems like he is officially back. You can click this and just see real quick. He has put up insane games these last ones. 37, 21 points last time. They didn't really need him against Houston to do too much, but they're going to need him against Kansas City, and I expect him to have a field day against a team, again, give up the second most points. Kyler Murray is just Kyler Murray. We also know that they've given up the third most points to San Fran, depending on your scoring settings, against QBs. Trey Lance, if he's explosive as I think, we're going to talk about him in a second. We'll keep this close enough that they need to continue to chuck. So Kyler Murray, a close second to Josh Allen, and of course Mahomes. And the other end of that shootout has to be highly ranked. Top 3, in my opinion. 5 touchdowns last week. Should probably throw another 4 to 5, especially if Josh Gordon gets active. Maybe his weapons cabinet gets even a bigger boost. So big fan of Mahomes as well. You move into tier 2. These are like your locked-in QB1s. You feel good about them, but not quite the cheat code level upside as the guys ahead of them, at least in my opinion. Lamar Jackson, though, against Indianapolis. Just the fact that this guy's averaging nearly 90 yards per game on the ground, like the biggest cheat code, Konami cheat code we have ever seen. Now, we have seen the Colts be pretty good on defense. There haven't been anything insane. In fact, Tannehill with nobody threw about 3 touchdowns against him just a couple weeks ago. So they could get things done. They've given up actually the 13th most points to QBs, but it's really the rushing yards. That's why you're here for Lamar Jackson. I think he should have a big day on the ground against Indy. Even though they've given up the 25th most points to running backs. Then you got Matthew Stafford. His first he's been a little up and down, 24, 18, 30, 20. And when I say down, I mean 18 is his worst game. That's not bad at all. He's been the QB 19 or better, mostly top 10. This seems like they set up Thursday Night Football for another top 10 game. Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford should be a shootout game. That's why you see Russell Wilson there at 8, sandwiched in between them, Dak Prescott at 6, Jalen Hurts at 7. Those Giants that Dak Prescott is facing are giving up. Let me just remind myself here. 9th most points. Dak coming off a 4 TD day. Another 4 TDs could be in the books. And especially promising, too, that the Giants have been a competent offense this year. Daniel Jones just threw 400 yards. So they should keep this competitive enough that Dak will continue to need to throw, keep the air under the ball. At least you got to hope so, right? And they've given up the most yards in the game on the air, the Cowboys have. So this should have some shootout potential. Jalen Hurts, though, I don't think he's finished worse than the QB 13. Let me double check that here. 6-10, 10-4. I mean, it doesn't get safer than that. Carolina, they put up points as well. So their secondary, I don't know if Stephon Gilmore is going to be active right off the bat. That would put a little bit of a damper. But even when he's played bad, Hurts has been a top 10 QB. Never mind the fact he completed over 76% of his passes last week against Kansas City. He's legit. He is a top 10 guy week in and week out, an awesome value in fantasy this year so far. Now, I kick off tier 3, and this is one of the higher guys I have, Trey Lance. I'll dive in deeper tomorrow, 7 p.m. for our Thursday Night Football kickoff. We'll talk about Trey Lance in more depth, but you can see 20 fantasy points and a half of action, 2 touchdowns. 9 for 18, looked a bit skittish, definitely had his rookie woes, but 41 yards on the ground as well. There is insane upside, but 20 points and a half, especially now that he's facing Arizona. Not, in fact, a great matchup. The secondary doesn't seem like anything special, but they've been pretty decent against quarterbacks so far. They're only surrendering the 24th most points. So pretty ungenerous, that's a word, to quarterbacks here. So I like Trey Lance just in the fact of the shootout narrative, the rushing upside. And this is kind of his audition, right? I think he's going to go for it. I think he's really going to be slinging a little bit lower on Tom Brady, as you can see. -4, no touchdowns last week, only 1 touchdown in his last 2 games combined after throwing for 5. Now, granted, even when he only had 1 touchdown, I guess he had 2 against the Rams. I thought it was only 1. He's been 5, 3, 4, and QB 28, like big hit. He's always kind of struggled against Miami, though. It was clear this team was really missing Gronk last week. And Flores, if it's that ex-Pats tradition, we just saw what Belichick did to him. No passing touchdowns, QB 28. I don't think it's going to be that dramatic. But Brady, it helps us at home at least for him. But I don't think this Miami secondary is going to be just a pushover. So some guys I like ahead of him, including Trey Lance. Justin Herbert right around that same ranking. And again, going Herbert over Lance, probably safer, probably smarter. But I'm not putting Lance on my bench if I have him. I'm 100% in on this guy, unless you're a clear-cut favorite and you just need sure points. Cleveland, though, good defense for Herbert, who is starting to get into gear. What did he end up with last time? So game logs, 21 points, the QB 12, 222, 4 touchdowns again. Oh, actually, really only 3 touchdowns. My bad. That was back-to-back 4 touchdown games. But still, the QB 12, he's starting to cook after a couple down weeks. Should still get it going against Cleveland, but as one of the better defenses. Kirk Cousins against Detroit. They've been sneaky, actually decent against quarterbacks. It's surprising because they were giving up the most points to the position. They're now 19th in terms of points allowed. And I think that's just because teams are pounding them on the ground. It's easy to run the ball all over this team. And you don't really need to keep pounding on points. But I do think, given how bad Minnesota's secondary is as well, we should have had a shootout last week, but Baker Mayfield couldn't keep his end of the bargain up. I'm hoping Jared Goff can, and that we deliver some quality QB stats from Cousins, from Goff, them needing the sling. Darnold leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns. Insanity. Philly's not in anything special on defense. Top 15 guy for sure. QB 5 in fantasy right now. I'd put him even over Rodgers right now. Cincinnati, an okay team against the pass. Again, nothing special, but they'll pound that rock if they can. And it's been a real weird roller coaster since he only gave up the 26th most points to quarterbacks, pretty low on that list. Better than 2/3 of the league against quarterbacks right now. That's a little concerning for Rodgers. I do like the fact that Jair Alexander's out for them because they might end up giving up more points, having to keep it competitive. We'll see. Daniel Jones, though, coming off a 400-yard game against now a Dallas defense that's giving up more pass yards than anybody. Love him. Still out there in over half leagues. I don't get it. Go get the guy if you need a quarterback. No doubt I'd rather have him than Joe Burrow. Now, granted, with Jair Alexander, that might flip, given that he is out. He is so good at locking down number ones. That's going to open things up significantly. After Jair, their secondary is horrendous for Green Bay. I could see Burrow sprayed all over the yard, especially with Mixon hurt. Might have to bump him up a few spots with that news breaking today that Jair is expected to miss week 5. Derek Carr, the pumpkin finally came after multiple top 11 starts, 24th with only 15. First game under 300 pass yards in 8 straight. Yeah, LA Chargers, though, very legit defense, but Chicago's also a pretty solid defense, so I'm not going back to the Carr. Well, Heineke, again, over 20 fantasy points in all of his starts. New Orleans just got had by Daniel Jones. You got to think Taylor Heineke with those weapons could also get similar results. Fields named the starter today. Big news for him. Facing the Raiders, they've given up a ton of points. So, he hasn't been much. What is it? 32 and 34. Yeah. So much for the Konami upside. Don't know why we keep ranking this guy as high as we do. I'm going to probably bump him down a little bit, especially when you got Tannehill looking like he's going to get some weaponry back. We'll talk about A.J. Brown in a second. He needs to be above Fields. I think a few of these guys need to be above Fields, including Matt Ryan, coming off finally. It seems like this Arthur Smith offense is clicking. The QB3 with 29 points against Washington last week. The Jets have actually given up the fewest pass touchdowns in the league, though. So interesting, not what you'd expect with a god-awful secondary, but that's what's going on. And then you're getting into this kind of range, like, do you really need to dive into all these guys? Maybe in a 2 QB league, you're starting Mac Jones against Houston, this awful secondary. Zach Wilson against Atlanta. You get a little 9:30 game action if you're interested in that. Goff against Minnesota. Like, these guys are all streamable, but I'm not interested myself. Trevor Lawrence, fool's gold. No need. Even in a good match against Tennessee, no thank you. We'll move on to running backs. But again, folks, if you don't mind giving us a thumbs up, a share, retweet, all that good stuff, help us get out to more people, would be greatly appreciated. We got about 9 comments. Would love to answer more questions than that, though, at the end of this. So we'll continue to rip through these positions. Derrick Henry against Jacksonville. What needs to be said? We all have those memories of Derrick Henry stiff-arming the hell out of this defense for a 97-yard touchdown. Could happen again easily this week. They're giving up top 3 in fantasy points to running backs. Derrick Henry, beyond just the insane rushing upside, has more targets on the year than Alvin Kamara, more catches, more yards per out run. I mean, the guy is top 15 in all these categories where he was supposed to be the non-factor in. Derrick Henry is a cheat code this year because of that. Now, Darrington Evans is expected back within the next couple of weeks. Maybe we see that taper off a little bit, but he is damn good, obviously damn good as a receiver, which I think, a lot of people were not expecting this insane type of production in that, and I'm all here for it. We are all here for it, for sure. You got Aaron Jones against Cincy. A little bit nervous to keep him as high as I do right now. Given, Cincy, they are certainly a run funnel defense, even though they only give up the fifth fewest points to quarterbacks against running backs. 21st. I mean, this defense has been pretty good, but we just saw James Robinson smash him for a couple TDs. I think Aaron Jones could have a nice rebound game. And I do think it's going to be close and competitive, so they have to keep him going. Zeke Elliott, the running back 4, obviously that dud week against the Bucks, it was the ultimate buy low, clearly, because he is cooking right now. 147 yards last week, insanity. Now, he is a little dinged up, did not practice today with a little stiffness in his knee was the report. As long as he's practicing, he should be good to go, but make sure you're monitoring Zeke Elliott's status. He will be squaring off against Saquon Barkley. I love those two prices on DraftKings, by the way, stacking those two up against each other. Barkley looking fully back, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner against the Saints, just cutting, jump cutting, all that good stuff that you know and love from Barkley. He looks fully back, as is his workload. So fire him up, especially with Daniel Jones. Again, we said buy low because Daniel Jones looks so good. It could only mean good things for Barkley down the stretch. This is important that the defense can't just stack every single person. When you got John Ross now streaking down the field, Kadarius Toney, they got real speed and they're actually pushing it. Over 8 passes last week, going for over 20 yards. That was more than they've done all season in one game combined. Good stuff for Saquon Barkley, getting some more space underneath like that. Dalvin Cook, if he's good to go, I mean, you get Detroit, the second most points allowed to running backs. Could have a field day. Should be number 2 if he's fully healthy, ready to go. But he's coming off his lowest workload, other than, of course, the week that he sat. Only 9 rush attempts, 2 receptions. That's scary for Dalvin Cook. Running back 48 last week. Despite how good this matchup should be for him, it's sketchy. Austin Eckler on the opposite end is just continuing to get the money touches, goal line, receptions, carries, 150 yards almost this last week, total yards, and putting 2 in the ground. Running back 3 of the week. Cleveland, a good defense, not the easiest of matchups. He's matchup proof. It doesn't matter. You cannot take this guy out of the game. Love everything about Austin Eckler this week. Nick Chubb, I think this is a good rebound spot. They're going to want to keep the ball out of Justin Herbert's hand and pound him. Yes, he's been a bit disappointing these last couple of weeks. 8 and 12 fantasy points. Lack of a receiving role completely. 1 catch over his last 2 games. That's scary. 1 target over his last 2 games. Also scary. And only 4 on the year. I mean, the guy is an adept receiver. It's too bad that he cannot shake Kareem Hunt. But it is a decent matchup. I believe the Chargers improved this last week because they're facing, 19th, but they were facing nobody. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a big game against them. So sure can he. I am a little bit lower, as you can see, on Alvin Kamara, the number 2 in consensus. I have him down 6 spots. Washington, for all their faults on defense, they're going up 30.5 points per game right now. They're pretty good against the run, especially going up the gut. And they have not, for whatever reason, the Saints are refusing to pepper Alvin Kamara, no matter how well it's worked in the past, no matter how dynamite he is in space. They're just running him up the gut. And it's great to see 26 career high carries last week. 24 was the career high set the week before. He's getting so used as a runner, but we always talk about 2.84 times the value, a PPR target as compared to a carry. And those just aren't coming anymore. I'd rather have the 10 carry Kamara to get the 8 target guy back any day of the week. It sucks. I don't know why. I mean, Drew Brees obviously was so good at it, so I get why, but I thought Jameis would be a little bit more adept. Oh, these are running back rankings. Why am I having this QB banner up there? My apologies, folks. But continue to move on. Again, those guys are your RB1s. Jonathan Taylor's right there. Baltimore's been mediocre, middle of the pack. Had his best game of the season, but also still gave up nearly half of the carries, even in his best game of the season. It's not sold completely on him, but I am sold 100% on Darrell Henderson. The Seattle Seahawks came in giving up the most points last week. They're still number 3 in terms of points allowed. And Henderson's the guy. 90% of the snaps, 90% of the touches last week, 3 for Sony Michel. And part of that might have been his fumble, but I don't see that changing anytime soon. Najee Harris, also one of the only running backs in the NFL who see 90% more of the carries on the season. There's like 3 other guys that have done that. defines workhorse, even though Denver's given up the fewest points to running backs. He's so involved as a receiver, it won't matter. DeAndre Swift against Minnesota. I guess I'm a little lower on him, but I'm surprised he's all the way up at 9 because Williams outcarries him still. He did see all the targets for running backs. Again, targets are the most valuable thing. And against Minnesota, they're going to need to throw more often. But I'm skeptical of the fact that Jamal Williams is still as heavily involved as he is coming off a week where Dan Campbell said, we got to get this guy more touches. It didn't really come to fruition. Do like James Robinson, Tennessee, a bad defense. Against the run, they're mediocre, but still bad defense means touchdown opportunities, and he's kind of seized that role back. I love to see it. But Cordarrelle Patterson, again, on +8. I'm going to continue to be plus, however. He should be ranked. He's the RB4, I believe, right now in fantasy. And sure, only 30% of the snaps and 25% of the rushing workloads. He's too hyper efficient. It's going to come crashing down to earth soon, right? Maybe it's as early as this week, but the Jets have given up the most points to running backs. So I would say continue to ride the train. Even if a lot of the production is coming as a receiver, it doesn't matter. How can you bench this guy off a 30-point day? And my counter to that is he's so damn explosive, and I trust Arthur Smith to be smart enough. It's clear Cordarrelle's bringing a much more dynamic option than Mike Davis. So even if the efficiency comes down a bit, I expect the volume to counterbalance that and this guy to remain a top 15 option all year. Love him. Fire him up. Make sure he's in your lineups for the early game kickoff. Antonio Gibson, brutal, like late first, early second round pick so far this year. McKissick stealing all the receiving work. We're kind of dependent on big plays or goal line scores here for Antonio Gibson, which I don't like against the Saints, one of the top run defenses in the league. I might even prefer, as you move down to like the high-end RB2 tier, Damian Harris. Love him against Houston, giving up the 4th most points to backs right now. And he's going to come out hungry. 17 routes run last week, the most he's had in his career, more than any other running back. I get that Bolden got the receiving work, but we could see the evolution of Harris into a 3-down back. One of my favorite buy lows right now. Would love to go get me some Damian Harris. Chase Edmonds, though, coming off a 120-yard day on just 10 carries. Yes, it's annoying that Connor's gotten 2 touchdowns in back-to-back games, but he has seen nearly 20% target share across the season, 3rd most among running backs in terms of share, and it's as explosive offense as you can get. So I love Chase Edmonds. Clydesdale Edwards-Helaire, back-to-back 100 yards a day, but also be concerned that Darrell Henderson played nearly 50% of the snaps, also scored a rushing touchdown. Saw 14 carries for Helaire to 10 for Darrell. That's concerning. Damian Williams, I think, steps right in against a Raiders team that's given up at least 1 touchdown to running backs every single week. Right in there as a top 24 running back, 19 for me. 20 for Kareem Hunt. The guy is explosive. Am I too low? -5. Yeah, I mean, he routinely just kind of beats that 13, 44, 217. So risky a couple weeks ago, but otherwise he's been top 17 every week, including a top 2. Maybe I am a little bit too hard on Kareem Hunt here, especially if the game flow plays in his favor. Now, Chuba Hubbard didn't do a whole ton, certainly as a receiver, only 5% target share, but an 80% rushing share against Philly, mediocre, middle of the pack. I like him, but there is rumors that Christian McCaffrey could already be back. Went to a limited practice. You know how cautious they were last year, but that was a lost season. This team has a ton to play for. So if he's ready, if Christian McCaffrey's ready, then of course Chuba would become obsolete. Christian McCaffrey would rank, top, probably number 2. I mean, honestly, it's Christian McCaffrey, maybe number 1. Not number 1. Derrick Henry's been too damn good against Jacksonville, knock him down there. But Chuba, solid guy. Chris Carson, big risk this week, neck injury. The matchup's okay. The Rams, look scary on paper. They've actually given up the 13th most points to running backs. But I'm worried. I'd almost rather, especially if you own Alex Collins, I'd rather see Carson sit, toss in, fire up Alex Collins as the every down back. He would rank above Chuba in that case, Alex Collins would. We saw Collins see 10 carries to 14 for Chris Carson. Nearly 46% snaps for Carson, 34% for for Alex Collins. Like, this became a split. I do think it was injury related, but the injury is still lingering. I'd rather see him sit. Speaking of injuries, you move to your next tier of like mid-range RB2s, flexes guys. Samaje Perine, though, his only time he's seen more than 10 carries was 13 for 94, 2 TDs. I love that. Clearly, I'm much higher on this guy as a Hail Mary this week, 10 spots above his ECR. Green Bay is bottom, 27th in DVOA against the run, so very generous. Bad against the run. They were bad last year. They're even worse this year. Jalen Smith, their new starting linebacker, got cut by the awful Cowboys. That's all you need to know. I do like Josh Jacobs, given that Peyton Barber is going to be out multiple weeks. Chicago, not the best of matchups, but Jacobs, became the main guy yet again. Drake's just a kind of ancillary satellite. good bet for an end zone visit each and every week. I was higher on Leonard Fournette against Miami, one of the more generous as a top 5 team in points allowed to running backs, was higher on him, but Gio Bernard is now practicing, so I've kind of softened my stance there. He was an 82% snap guy last week, Leonard Fournette. I don't expect that to continue. Zach Moss continues to just find the end zone. Did he last week? I can't even remember. Yep, 4 touchdowns in his last 3 weeks. Top 15 guy, back-to-back, then RB24. So, I mean, he's getting it done. He is getting it done. Only 12 last week, sure. But against the Chiefs, they're going to need points. They might try to take the ball out of Mahomes' hand. I like it. I like it a lot. The Chiefs have given up. Let me just remind myself here. The 5th most points. So Miami 4th, then the Chiefs the 5th there in terms of points allowed. So great matchup for him. Murray, 78% rushing share. Well, let me not skip Miles Sanders, that piece of fucking garbage. As an owner, I am so upset about this. But Gainwell out touching, out playing, like, oh, it's awful. We are seeing Miles Sanders still see 60% of the snaps, and Carolina just got steamrolled by Ezekiel Elliott. But still, I'm a little bit worried about Sanders. I am. Maybe they feed him and get this rebound effort, but I am a little bit worried this week. Now, you got Latavius Murray, again, 78% snap share, Indy, mediocre run D, better than average. But still, that much work, good bet for the end zone, even though it's going to be about like 18 carries for 40 yards with the score. That's all I really care about. Tony Pollard, if Zeke misses, I mean, he's going to be up number 6 maybe. But for right now, just a 10 or so touch guy and a plus matchup, bottom 10, the Giants defenses against running backs. But I'd rather go elsewhere if I could. Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, how does that play out? Number 30 and 32 on my rankings. I imagine Mitchell comes in. He's got limited practices. I expect him to play. My guess is he comes in and takes the job back. I wouldn't be confident rolling either out if I don't have to. And this is kind of where I cut it off. I might even bump Gainwell a little bit more, given that last week, RB7 with 21 fantasy points. Insane. 8 targets, 6 catches. He's the 2-minute guy. That he might need a bump up, potentially even above Sanders at this point. So that's a guy I'm reconsidering. McKissick, 2 of his last 3 games have been top 15. Solid PPR guy against New Orleans. He might be the guy that actually gets more work because he can get out in space. I mean, Gibson can. They just don't do that with him for whatever reason. And then you're looking at, Carter got 15 touches. He gets Atlanta. Maybe that's okay. But once you get past these guys, hopefully you're not relying on them. Clearly, I'm not into James Conner despite 4 touchdowns across 2 games. Don't love it. One of the guys I do want to highlight is Alex Collins and Madison, too. If anything happens to Dalvin, he doesn't play. I mean, he'd be a top 5 play this week. Collins, also probably a top 20. Right where Carson is, I'd probably bump him above to like RB21. Be like Carlos Hyde last year where he had like 100 yards because he became the only big back they had on Thursday Night Football. We could see history repeat itself. And that's really where I cut this off, like Bolden some catches last week. But you're getting into ugly territory if you have to rely on that. Up to 21 questions. Love to see it. We're almost there to answer all your questions, guys. We'll get through receivers, tight ends, and a quick defense and special teams rundown as well. Devontae Adams, my number 1 guy. Yeah, he kind of floundered this last week, but still saw 12 touches. Cincy has not been good against wide receivers. I believe they rank bottom 10. I'm pulling that up right now. Even though they've been pretty good against quarterbacks, though, so maybe that's not the case. I feel like they've been sketchy, though. Let me see here. I mean, Viscous Chenault just got deep on them with regularity. I don't think they have anybody that can keep up, even if they rank decent. 16th, so middle of the pack, I guess, against receivers, but I don't buy that. They got no one that can stay with Devontae Adams. Diggs, nice rebound. I mean, he's seen 26 or more % target share all year, despite no touchdowns. This is the week it could come. This week it should come. Love me some Diggs. Cup, what's there to say? The wide receiver 1 in fantasy. Yeah, he had a little bit of a down week, but Seattle's got nobody that can stay with him. So I expect a big game. They're going to be the 11th most points to wide receivers and haven't faced anybody like this Rams team. Tyreek Hill, a little bit lower, given that Buffalo's given up the fewest points to wide receivers. I don't think there's anybody that can truly cover Hill, but we've also seen Hill be able to be taken out of games. And I think the Bills are smart enough, well-coached enough that might be their philosophy on Sunday night. There's not much to complain about with Justin Jefferson. I know last week wasn't his best, but getting Detroit is a good get-right spot. It wasn't his best. Never mind. He had 20 points. 13-19, 27-20. Like, it doesn't get much more steady than that. A good reason to be number 5. I mean, it doesn't get much more steady than that. Look at what DJ Moore has done. 15, 22, 21, 32. Wide receiver 3 last week. Amazing. I think it's Philly. We just saw Tyreek Hill did this team. No reason to not fire up DJ Moore with complete and utter confidence as a top 10 guy. Hopkins, I'm surprised I'm a number one on him, or plus one rather. San Fran's got nobody. They're nothing special. And yeah, Hopkins has been a little bit of a dud, and sure, they're passing it around a bit more than usual. AJ Green leading the team in targets last week, but San Fran's nothing special. 18th, yeah, that seems in fact better than I expected. I think he's going to do some bad things to that defense. Hopkins is. Terry McLaurin on +3 on, but New Orleans, again, Daniel Jones just threw 400 yards, nearly over 100 going to Kenny Golladay. McLaurin should have no problem roasting these guys coming off a 2 TD monstrous performance. Metcalf as well might give the Ramsey treatment, so a little lower on him, but again, it's Metcalf. Like, he's in your lineup. There's nothing to really overthink that. Deebo Samuel, Arizona, love it on +2. I had full faith Trey Lance can continue to rope it to him. Keenan Allen coming off a little bit of a dud, but it's Keenan Allen. And yes, Cleveland's been a great defense, but I'm not too worried about this one. Where does Cleveland rank against receivers? Let me see. 27. So, I mean, they have been pretty damn good, but it's Keenan Allen. You're going to get 12 targets from a good offense, good quarterback. He'll rip. Chris Godwin, Adam Thielen, 12 and 13. +4 on Thielen, but really the important one. So I do like Thielen against Detroit. I mean, that's one of these like classic multiple touchdown days. There's not much else to say. I think he scored in every single game. Maybe last week he was kept out of the end zone. Yeah, he was. That's, I guess, the risk. But other than that, 4 touchdowns in 4 games. You're getting multiple scores this week. Deontay Johnson. How do people not rank this guy higher? How am I +6? Yeah, Big Ben sucks. Doesn't matter though. 10, 12, and 13 targets in his healthy games. Last year, remember, when he played the full game, he wasn't knocked out in the first quarter. He averaged over 12 targets a game. Was the wide receiver 4, wide receiver 1 in targets per game, wide receiver 4 in fantasy points per game. And look at this, 34, 16, 5. I mean, even with a bad quarterback, he continues to slay. Tyler Lockett, a boomer bust, but he's looking a little busty these days. I don't know. I guess this Rams secondary, that's the get right spot for him. I'm surprised Mike Evans, he had that week 1 dud, but since then, pretty damn solid. 25, 19, 15. I mean, that's pretty damn steady numbers. Against the Miami team that doesn't have anyone I think can cover him, can stay with him. CeeDee Lamb, I'm lower on, and for good reason. Look at, he's seen 8 targets combined in his last 2 games, 3 and 5. Wide receiver 20, like the only receiver more overrated than him right now might be Calvin Ridley. I love the player, love the talent, but 22, 50, 88. I mean, what do they put Bradbury on him? I don't know. They're getting it done elsewhere. I'm worried about CeeDee Lamb. I am. And a little bit about Amari Cooper down at 20. That might flip-flop. I feel a little bit better about Cooper. But he's also banged up, so we'll see. Mike Williams, a complete dud. But he should have had an 80-yard touchdown. We wouldn't even be talking about this. So I'm still on the Mike Williams train. I'm not hitting the panic button. Jamar Chase, now that Jair Alexander is ruled out, I might even bump him up further. I don't know. Probably above CD, probably above Mike Williams, not above Mike Evans, though. So I'll be a little lower than ECR, but not by much. Then you get to tier 4. I mean, what else is to say about Marquise Brown? Let's look at these game logs, 19, 23, 19, and 8. But this 8 should be a 35. He dropped 3 touchdowns. We can't, erase that and say, oh, yeah, but if you caught him, he dropped him. He did. That sucks. But it would have been probably the top 5 game. Maybe number 1 receiver that week had he not dropped 3 freaking touchdowns. And he's got no one that can run with him. He's making highlight plays week after week. Huge fan of Marquise Brown. Have to have him over Calvin Ridley. I think the most overrated receiver in fantasy. He's routinely ranked. What's he ranked at? -12. So he's ranked number 10 this week. Let's look at his finishes. 59, 17, 26, 26. It's just a bad offense. A great player, bad offense. I had Calvin Ridley last year. I loved the guy to death for what he did. But great player, bad offense. And the Jets have actually done a sneaky good pass defense. And again, guys, give me that thumbs up. 24 viewing, 9 likes. Come on, get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Pump it out. Let us get out to more people here. AJ Brown, though, in practice today, that puts him on track to play, and he's playing Jacksonville. What a great spot to come back and get right away. I thought this was going to be a worse injury, knowing that he might already be back against the 14 most points allowed. Jacksonville Jags, susceptible to big plays. Might go sneaky, try to buy low right now. I know his owner of my league's panicking. Most people that have him on their rosters are probably 0-4, 1-3. You could probably go sneak out and get AJ Brown before he comes back for some cheap money. Antonio Brown versus Miami. I mean, should have had 2 touchdowns last week. Some of the Marquise Brown narrative just they're gonna a little bit lower on Brady, but maybe I need to be higher given how much higher I am on his weapons. Somebody's not going to do as well as I expect here, but That's kind of how you have to rank these guys. Most of them are going to blow up, at least two of them most likely. Corey Davis against Atlanta. Easy matchup for the guy. Coming off a 20-point day. He's got two 20-point days, 2 duds. But when you face Atlanta, the 7th most points allowed, probably a good chance at going off yet again. Brandon Cooks leading the NFL in targets and air yards coming into last week. Complete dud. Davis Mills sucks. So where do we meet in the middle here? I don't know. Cordell Patterson, I can't believe him plus 32 on the guy. What else needs to be said? Look at his stats. What receivers he's been? 4, 19, 1. Yeah, he's ranked as the 58. That's just stupid. That's all that needs to be said. T. Higgins. The running back stats where he's going to do his damage against the Jets, too. They're giving the most points to backs. T. Higgins back this week. No Jair. Great spot for him. Clearly going to be higher on him this week. Cortland Sutton, -6. If it's Drew Lock, I guess that somehow plays into his strengths a little bit, but that's been a ride that I'm not enjoying as a guy that rosters him in many, many leagues. Devonta Smith, 100 yards first day, 100-yard day as a pro. Love to see it. As long as Gilmore's not out there, that secondary is still really banged up. We saw them get destroyed by Dak last week, 4 touchdowns. Yeah, Devonta Smith should have another big day. Tyler Boyd, now with everybody back, I like him, but look at his games when they had everybody on the field. 6 points, 3 for 32. Not very good. The wide receiver 75 that week. And then we had T. Higgins get banged up and miss these last few. He's been okay. He should still be okay against the Jair-less Packers, but not quite as high as I would normally be should Higgins be sitting. Do like Kenny Galladay a lot, 116 last week. Shepard and Slayton still not practicing, expected to probably miss the game again. Right back to alpha status. Do you have 11 targets? How many did he have? Oh, only 7. I thought it was even more than that. So pretty efficient. 18 points. He's been okay, double digits, in every game. Wide receiver 19 last week. Could see another performance like that against a Dallas team. Now, the only concern there is Diggs. Trayvon Diggs might be one of the best players in the entire NFL this year. 5 picks. And he's locking down number ones with regularity. Marvin Jones, Tennessee, giving up, the 4th most to wide receivers? Number 2, 2nd most. Tampa Bay the most, then Tennessee, then Dallas. So good spot for Galladay, and a good spot for Marvin Jones, especially with no DJ Chark. Should operate as the clear alpha. Big fan of him. I guess I'm lower than the ECR, and I probably shouldn't be. So I'm going to relook at that on Marvin Jones. Do like Jacoby Myers against Houston, but they might pound the rock with Harris all day. They might not need him at all, but still, 11, 14, and 12 targets across his last few? 12 and 14, 9 and 6 to start the year. The clear-cut alpha, and without James White here, he's going to be their definite chain mover, in my opinion. A lot of good receivers this week. Look at this. Because now you're getting Michael Pittman, 12 targets in back-to-back games. You got Emmanuel Sanders in a shootout game against Kansas City. He's been a top 5, number 32, 26 and 13 points. I think this is another 20-plus point potential for him. Odell Beckham, don't like that. Can't get it done against Minnesota. Are you really going to get it done against this Charger secondary that's been one of the best in the leagues? I don't know. I might have to bump him down a little bit. Not into that. Into Cole Beasley, though. Kansas City, the game, he's the type of guy that will see 14 targets or 2. Do last week, 4 last week. When they're up big, they don't need him. That's what he's going to do. When they do need him, 13 and 13 targets. This is a 12-plus target day for Cole Beasley. Big game coming for him. Not into Robert Woods. They did say they need to get him more touches. Woo, thank you. Van Jefferson's outplaying him. He's eating into his work more than any of us could have ever predicted. -11 on him, not into it. Laviska Shenault versus Tennessee. Every chance to blow up, but I just don't believe in Trevor Lawrence right now, so I don't know. Waddle against Tampa Bay, the most points allowed to receivers. No Will Fuller. He's going to be out with on the IR now. So more chance that we see another 13-target day. I got to bump him up. Bub Odell. I'm bumping Odell down big tonight. Not into that. Mooney did have the big day for the Bears. Them against the Raiders. You got A-Rob, Darrell Mooney, 42 and 43. I should probably flip them, given that Robinson saw 17% target share. Mooney saw 40 in these last weeks. He has a better rapport with Justin Fields so far. I don't know what's going on with A-Rob. He's gotten it done with trash quarterbacks before in the past. Is Fields just that bad as a thrower right now? I don't think so. I think it's more the play calling, but it sucks. I'd probably have him on my bench. And then you're looking at Crowder, great first game back, led the team in targets. It's clear that Wilson loves peppering the slot. These are some usable flex guys if you're in a pinch. Parker, 46, Patrick, 46, or 45 for Parker, 46 for Patrick. Renfro, 47. He's been a beast. He's seen 5 catches, at least 6 targets in every single game. Yeah, wide receiver 41, 47, 15, 23, scored in back-to-back weeks. He's been above this 47 ranking every single week. I think I'm a little too low on him. Claypool expected back. Doesn't matter if Big Ben is the quarterback, though. I don't think so. Let's highlight just a couple guys. Love taking a Hail Mary on Kadarius Toney. Looked so damn explosive this last week. So shifty. So good with the ball in his hands. So really big fan of him facing a Dallas team. Reports coming out that the Giants, even when the other guys come back, will try to work these guys in as much as possible, given the new speed element that him and Ross bring. And I don't even hate John Ross, as you can see down here. There's some big flyers alongside Jalen Reagor. I don't like it at all. Khalif Raymond, though, Quintez Cephas, and then you got John Ross here at 69, like a good flyer, in my opinion, for sure this week. That kind of covers everyone. Maybe Van Jefferson on Thursday night, but probably not. I'd rather keep that spot open. I'd rather go Kadarius Toney, for example, only 9% rostered. I had about 30 questions here. Folks, love to see it. Cannot wait to answer all those. Let me wrap things up here with tight ends. You don't need me to sing Travis Kelce's praises, but I might as well anyways. Coming off a big dud, you know they're going to make a concerted effort to get this guy the rock. And yes, Buffalo has been stingy against everything, especially wide receivers. They're most generous to tight ends right now. So take what you will. That's 28th most, so not very generous. Doesn't matter. Throw matchups out the window when you got Pat Mahomes there. Darren Waller, number 2, but it's a distant number 2 at this point. He hasn't done anything that much of note since the 19 targets in week 1. TJ Hawkinson against Minnesota should smash, but he also didn't practice today, so keep that in mind. Your tight end 5 on the season so far, Dawson Knox, the most tight end touchdowns among tight ends. Great bet to find the end zone yet again against the Kansas City that ranks bottom 10 against the position, giving up the 7th most points to tight ends. Andrews, I'd rather have Knox and Andrews. I really, truly would. And over Kittle at 6. Like, give me the touchdown upside of Knox. I'm loving this guy right now. No fan at Pittsburgh. They've been pretty good against every position, but he's been a touchdown machine as well, scoring again last week. Gesicki, Tampa Bay, very generous to everything in the passing game. He has gone now, 12 targets and 6, but he did put that into 17 points. So tight end 3, tight end 7 these last few weeks. Good guy to keep firing up. Higbee, solid, but I might even actually prefer Dalton Schultz here against the Giants. As you can see, the number 1 and number 5 tight end, 26 and 18 points. He's been a beast. 30% target share, well over CeeDee Lamb these last few weeks. You got to fire him up against the Giants, no doubt about it. Tier 4, now we're in like the high-end tight end 2, like your last potential starters. Goddard, he's so damn good, but like it's stuck. You got Ertz getting touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. Annoying. Hunter Henry scoring. He's getting the clear-cut route runner among these tight ends. So you're getting Houston giving up the 4th most points like that. Kyle Pitts, don't start him anymore. Like, way too overhyped. One of the worst picks you could have made this year. And I wasn't huge on him. I was taking TJ Hawkinson over him. So I don't really have too many shares of Pitts, but I wasn't even expecting him to be this bad. It's bad. Detroit, good matchup for Conklin. He kind of fell off, 6-4, 8. Yeah, bad. But again, 20 points just a week ago. Good rebound spot against Detroit. Tanyan, just boom or bust. Mostly bust. 3 busts, 1 boom. Cook did have a big game, but I'm not buying into it. Then you got Cameron Brate, pretty widely out there. Gronk expected to miss the game, not practicing yet. And then it's like maybe you take a flyer on Max Williams. He's got 2 16-plus point days, 16 and 18. Tight end 4 and 6, sandwiched between some pretty bad efforts. But at this point, if you're at tight end and you're desperate, like, go for the guy in the explosive offense. Big game last week from Uzuma, 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns as well from Mo Alley Cox. So there are some streaming with upside. I also do want to highlight Ricky Seals-Jones with Logan Thomas going on the IR. 6'5" beast. Could do some damage as well. Your tight ends. And last but not least, as we get up to 31 questions, I love to see it, Wolfpack. Thank you so much for being here and interacting. We'll get to all those in a sec. But let's get to defenses. Davis Mills, what else needs to be said? Pats have a solid defense. Davis Mills does not have a solid anything. Good guy to throw down there. Again, thumbs up, guys. Let us get those likes. Get us out to more people. Share, likes, retweets, all that good stuff. I'm a whore. I'll ask for it. I'll beg for it. Let's go. Tampa Bay Bucks against Miami, Jacoby Brissett. Beautiful matchup. Denver against Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh against Denver, rather. Facing Drew Lock, most likely. Love that. Denver against Pittsburgh. Facing Big Ben or a backup. Like that a lot. Cowboys, one of my favorite streamers of the week. Daniel Jones has been a significantly better player, but still turnover prone. And this Dallas team, I think they've got like 8 or more in every single game. 7, 7, 13, 8. So, okay. Top 12 every single week, though. Not bad. They're a sneaky, like, good defense that people don't recognize because of how bad they were last year. Then we got your Baltimore Ravens against Indy. Carson Wentz, they'll get after him all day. Vikings against Detroit, a solid spot for them. Clearly, I'm a little bit lower on the Saints. They last week was just an abysmal effort against the Giants at home, nothing, and now you get Washington on the road. Washington's been an explosive offense. I'm not into the Saints this week. Looking for something better. You can even go to the Falcons facing the Jets, who give up the most points to defenses, right? The Raiders, the Cardinals. There's tons of options this week, folks. Even the football team against Jameis Winston at home could be a good option. They're explosive. They give up a lot of points, but they are explosive. And certainly on special teams, you saw that touchdown this last week. A lot of good defenses, though, like the Browns, like the Bills, just in tough matchups this week. So you should be looking elsewhere, in my opinion. I don't hate the Chargers as a stream option, though. I think they could turn over Baker a few times. And then kickers, Tucker, Gay, Prater. Those guys are going to be at the top every single week. Carlson, right up there. I do love Nick Folk as a top 10 option this week. But, Greg the Leg, solid. Should be able to get boot a few. Big into Younghoe Koo, though. I think this is one of the few weeks where you can really deploy him. Always like Rodrigo as an option. Suck up 4 field goals rather last week. But it's just one of those risks where it's like they almost only do touchdowns, in my opinion. So McMahon's coming off a 1-point day. Nerve-wracking if Bridgewater's not starting. If Bridgewater is playing, I like him. Do you want to toss out my man Joey Sly? I only have a 20, but if this offense is explosive at all with Trey Lance, that guy has a huge leg filling in there. So higher on him than consensus. Wanted to toss his name out there. But yeah, that's kickers. And that's our show, folks, in terms of the rankings. I know why you're all here, though, for your questions, for your mailbag. So let us hit that mailbag, baby. Starting with Jack Milchick. Great to see you, brother. Wolfie, wish I could watch more, but grading papers and lesson plans have crushed me. You're telling me, man, this has been the craziest school year of my life. Love it. I'm teaching creative writing. It's an awesome class to teach, but grading-wise, lesson planning-wise, it's definitely adding that one course. I love doing it, so I'm happy I'm doing it. It makes my day at school so much better, but still a lot more time getting sucked up by that too as well. So I feel you, man. Feel you big time. Do you start Wilson on Thursday? If not, I have Matty Ice or Lance's options. Ooh, I would go Wilson, yeah. I'm not that scared of the Rams. They're going to need points. That's kind of what's happened in all these weeks. So I go Wilson Thursday. Lance would be my next man up, but yeah, I like Wilson there. Hey, Wolf, would you take Gibson or Swift rest of the season full PPR? With full PPR, I think it's Swift, given that huge target share, and I imagine those carries will continue to play it out for him. Sup, Wolf? What up, Kevin? Can't be around too long. Appreciate the help today. I love seeing you, man. Always good talking with you. We got to get you back on the site, though. Get back over here, Kevin Rice. It's tricky. I like Edmonds a lot, so I'm hesitant to say you need to hit that deal myself. Would you trade Mixon, Godwin, and Damian Williams for CMC? That's a pretty hefty tag, but if you have the depth to kind of sustain those losses, I'm into that. Don't know if you saw my DM. Probably not. As I was saying to Jack, I am insanely busy this year. Usually I can be much more responsive. And I think, guys, I don't hate to do it. I mean, at this point, I am going to be setting up a Patreon to keep all the questions of people that support the site in one spot, so I can make sure I get to those in this crazy busy year. And a lot of you guys ask, how can I support you in season, things of that nature. So that's going to be coming as early as this week. So Schneider, I won't keep missing your questions if you want to help support us over there once that gets up there. But of course, you're a regular on the show too, so I'm always going to answer you guys that show up here week in and week out. Mike Davis, I should say night in and night out, which I love to see, buddy. Trade away Mike Davis, Robbie Anderson, Calvin Ridley, and Michael Carter for Lat, Damian Harrison, Pittman. Who's the big win there for you? You gave up Ridley. I feel like you sold low on kind of all those players. I do like Damian Harris a lot, but I think you could have got a lot more for Ridley myself. That might just be me, Schneider. I don't think this is a clear win. I think it's maybe a win because I am so high on Damian Harris the rest of the year, but Murray, hit or miss. Pittman, yeah, those targets have been nice, but I can't say he's better than Ridley rest of the season. Anderson could get it together. Davis, I don't really like at all, but what if something happens to Patterson? So, like, and Carter saw 15 touches. It's just like, I feel like you sold a high, like, kind of bought low, or rather spot high and sold low, I guess. I don't know, Michael. A lot of people, think it's a good one. I feel like Ridley could bounce back, though. So it's like, I don't know. If you were going to trade Ridley, I think you could have done better, I guess. You know me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I wish I could tell you I loved it, Mike, but I don't love it. I don't hate it either. I'm not saying you lost, but I only like to trade if it's a clear win. It's not a clear win for me. Mitch, great to see you, man, as always. Whom should I flex? Edmonds, Damian Williams, or Cordarrelle Patterson? I'm going Cordarrelle, man. I can't bench him right now, especially given that they're giving up the most points to running backs. That's a good one, though, Mitch. You got some great options. Edmonds is right there as well. And so is Damian. I mean, all of those guys are in great spots. Trying to figure out one, too. Someone wants my Herbert, and he's actually my backup. You have Allen? Yeah. Josh Jacobs and Singletary? Ew. Don't just, and Mitchell could be something. I would not do this deal. Singletary? Useless. So Josh Jacobs for Herbert? No way. You can get better than that, especially if you're throwing in Mitchell. No way. No way, Bo. Or Boo. Or however you say your name. I apologize. Boy. Good to see you. I apologize. I can't. Tell me how to pronounce it. Put me the pronunciation guide in there because I am awful with that type of stuff. Would you trade Mixon, Godwin, and Damian Williams for CMC? I'd already answered that. Depends on your depth, clearly. Don't ask your questions a million times. I will not answer them in the future. That's hard, Ja. CMC is worth it, but just can't stay healthy. Yeah, exactly. You're giving up a ton, so make sure you have the depth to sustain that type of blow, Ja. Like all the interaction going on between you guys, though, in the chat. That's why we do the chat. That's why I do the live show. Who would you rather have rest of the season, Chubb or Najee? Oh, very close, Mike. I mean, Najee clearly volume-wise is sexier, but offense-wise, it's Chubb. Gun to my head, that's PPR. Oh, that's tough. Probably Chubb for me, though. Mike Clay, Chubb, Lamb, Gronk, and a Higbee for Kelsey Henderson. Wide receivers are hurting because of A-Rob, but I do have Judy. I kind of like this. Who's your tight end? You'd have Higbee and Gronk if he comes back. I kind of like this deal. I mean, Gronk's health makes this a big risk, but when he's healthy, he's a top 5 guy. I think you pull this trigger, especially if you have the running back need. But I do love Henderson too. He could get hurt soon. I'd probably pull that trigger. I think Lamb, you might be getting a little bit too low there, which is nice. I need the Saints to start passing to Kamara again ASAP. Yeah, you and me both, man. What the hell? If I would try to trade CPAT alone or combo him with Gibson, I don't know, Ethan. Those are my least favorite type of questions. We have a trade value chart on the site. That's way better than asking this question on here. Go to the website, rosestreetjournal.com, check the trade values chart, add those numbers up. That'll give you your answer. Way better than what I can just hypothetically craft up, not knowing anybody else's rosters, not knowing yours. Hypothetical trades like that, I can't really do. I'm sorry, Ethan. I wish I could. I love you, brother, but I can't answer those ones. Edmonds and Gibson are my running back 1 and 2. That's not bad, Bo. That's fine. That's okay. I get Gibson's not really panning out, but Edmonds is. 3rd highest target share among running backs, and Gibson's only going to rise from here. So I don't think you're in a bad spot. Yeah, I wouldn't take that. I agree 100%. You can do better. Need 2 receivers. I got Boyd, Marvin Jones, Arwood, Sutton, and Chenault. Ooh. I kind of like going Jones Jr. and maybe Sutton or Boyd. That's the kind of question here. I like Boyd now with Jair out. Not going back to Woods yet. I know he scored, but I don't know. That just feels gross all year. Chenault did look pretty damn good. These are all Joey right in the same area for me. I'm going to go Boyd and Jones right now off the top of my head. Lat Murray and Kenny Gainwell rest of the season. Probably Gainwell. I mean, Murray, yeah, sure, bet from volume, but what's that doing right now? 11, 12. Gainwell could be that season winner down the stretch. So I like him. You'd go, I love Gable, Boy Gable. Again, I want to keep saying your name the right way. Boy. I'm probably sounding wicked ignorant. I'm sorry about that. Gable, though. I'm going to call you Mr. Gable from now on. How about that? Until I see a pronunciation. But really appreciate you answering all these questions. Great answer all around. I just kind of left it up there. Don't think Woods is cardinal. I agree with you. Cup is the main guy. Chenault could take advantage, so I do like that. And he gets Tennessee the 2nd most points to receivers, so I'm into that. Time to trade Patterson as he peaked? I don't know. I hear the argument. Yeah, he's doing all this on only 30%. Okay. What if those snaps rise? What if something happens to Mike Davis? This guy is looking so damn good. And he's found a coach that's using him the right way. I'm not getting rid of Patterson. I think a lot of people, I would be buying high. I really would, as crazy as that might sound. And I think everyone in the industry is going to recommend. I get it. I get why he is such a good sell high, but not for me. I'm just banking on this being real. I think it's real. It's happened for 3 straight weeks now. We won't get 30 points every week, but 15, 20. It's a real role that might only increase as the season goes on. You think if Higgins comes back, he'll affect Boyd's targets? Yeah, he will. Absolutely, Joey. No doubt about it. Enough to make Boyd not playable? We'll find out. Who would you rather have, Mooney or Chenault? Oh, Denny, good one. I'd probably rather have Chenault. I still am on the fence with Fields being attached to that offense. Traded Hopkins and Henderson for Devontae and Woods. I like Devontae a lot, so but I love Henderson. I like Hopkins. I think you gave up 2 players for one I love and one I don't really like at all. So I'd rather Hopkins Henderson here. But if Henderson gets hurt, then you stole it, and he is often hurt. So I get it, Austin. Harris or Collins or Pitts, full PPR. Who's Harris? Damian, Najee? That's tough. If it's Najee, it's a lock. If it's Damian, I still probably roll him, even if Carson's out. But that's going to get close. Make sure you're here tomorrow first, or when we have an official word on Chris Carson. Javonte or Miles Sanders for Damian Williams, Pollard, or Gainwell? Asked Sarah Riley. So right now, all these guys are great. I want Damian Williams, but both those guys, Javonte and Sanders, could come into more season-long value. I'd probably drop Sanders, though, for Williams at this point, if you need that starter at least. If you don't, then I'd ride out what you have. But if you need to plug in Damian Williams, then you can drop these guys. And Sarah, I meant to say, watch Zeke this week, because if Zeke is out, Pollard's going to be a top 5 guy. So, yeah. Fuck is up with Pitts, man? I don't know, Mark. I wish I had a good answer. Maybe he's not. He's a rookie tight end, and that's the hardest position to translate at. Atlanta sucks. He's getting moved around. He's getting used. He's getting targeted, but maybe he's just not ready. Josh Yankee. Need 3 receivers. Lockett, Chase, Cooper, Hopkins. I would bench one of them. Probably benching Chase here. Could really blow up, but with Higgins back, especially in standard, the volume might not be there. Trade Jacobs for Hurts or not? Stacked at running back? Yeah. I mean, if you're stacked at running back and need the quarterback, then yeah. I love what Hurts is doing. I don't think it's a fluke at all. 2 QB league. Trade Darnold and Corey Davis for Lance and Ayuk. I don't think so, Charlie. That's like betting on hypothetical versus betting on production that's really genuinely happening, and none of it seems really that fluky. With Darnold and Corey Davis, I think seems pretty real too. So I get it. Like, that could be a dice roll that wins leagues. But Darnold and Corey Davis are kind of winning leagues right now, so let's not break that up, in my opinion. I would drop Williams for Pollard. I don't know. I want to drop Javonte. I really think down the stretch, Denny Jennings, I think he's going to be a beast. Sanders going to get a bit more touches as an Eagles fan. As a Gainwell owner, I don't like it. So I like that he's voicing his frustration. Let's see it. Maybe he gets traded. Who knows? Leland Moss, whatever this is. Good to see it. Leland Moss is probably what that is now that I look at it. I have Hopkins, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Jamar Chase. Who do I bench? I might bench Evans in this case, like rather than go both Bucks. This is why normally I'd have Godwin and Evans ahead of Chase, but rather than playing them both, I'd probably bench Evans. Who's more ideal rest of the season, Knox or Gesicki? I like Knox in those tight end touchdowns, but Gesicki's pretty damn good too. Knox for sure. Leland Moss says all the Bills do is pass. It's damn true. Very, very true. He could be a top 5 tight end. He is the tight end 5 right now, so damn right. Kelsey, would it be a good idea to pick up Knox for Kelsey's bye? Yeah, I mean, just pick him up to keep him from other opponents, Denny. Like, there's got to be something on your roster that's not as valuable as a top 7 tight end moving forward. So, yeah, I own Kelsey and I have Knox on my bench. Even if it's just trade bait. Sit 1, Lamb, Godwin, Davis, E. Sanders. I would probably sit Sanders. It'd be Sanders or Davis. I can't bench Lamb or Godwin yet, not for those 2. So I would bench Sanders myself, but you roll the dice on whichever one you believe in more, Charlie. Should I trade Gibson, McKissick, Pittman, and Callaway for Najee and Visca? Yeah. I prefer Najee to Gibson, and then it's just a kind of like meh. Like the rest of those guys, I don't care that you're giving them up. So yeah, I would probably do that, Alex. I do like, what Pittman's doing, but I think Visca could have a big turnaround too. Shrankfeld ready. Can you give me a few running backs who I shall trade away Patterson for? No, I can't. Use the trade value chart. Use the rest of season rankings. Think about that. That's why I put him on the site, because I don't know who. And I don't want to trade him. So I'm not the guy to ask about trading Patterson away, my friend. Sorry. Fair trade. Feel Callaway's replaceable. Yeah, I agree. I like that trade. As Leland says. Saquon Javonte at running back for me. I have DJ Moore. Nice. Good stuff. So it was sell high on Patterson, traded Patterson and Sanders to a running back desperate team for Devontae Adams. Yeah, okay. I would sell that. Yes, Pringle. That might be the best sell high of all time. Yes. That's where you could trade Patterson. There you go. You pull off something like that, please do. Awesome stuff. I shouldn't say I would not be trading Patterson if offers like that are happening, right? Holy crap. Brandon Bolden or Samaje Perine. I'd go Samaje Perine. I don't know how long he's going to last and be the starter, but Bolden, yeah, it's not going to be sexy at all. Roll with Buffalo D or drop them for Arizona. I'd go for Arizona this week myself. Can't go against the Chiefs. Come on. Start the Cordarrelle Pounder with cheese or Cole Pierce or Hendo. Probably Hendo. How do you bench Cordarrelle, though? Cordarrelle Pounder with cheese. I like that name a lot. You got to go for that name. I have Cordarrelle. Let's see where I have these guys ranked. Henderson 10, Cordarrelle 14, but when push comes to shove, I'm like, how did you bench Cordarrelle at this point? Hendo is safer, though. 90% of the touches against a bottom 3 defense against the run, I'd probably go Henderson, safer. But can you get him in your flex? Does he have receiver eligibility? He did buy high, I agree. Wasn't the craziest trade, but I was going to have just Cook next week playing and have Mike Williams, T. Higgins, Marvin Jones-Myers, and maybe Gordon if he turns out to be an option. Okay, I get it, but I don't know. Eckler, Edmonds, and Cook. Who should I sit? Probably Edmonds there. If Cook is, we get anything about this workload, that was a sketchy thing, but I can't bench him against Detroit unless it's clear he's going to be limited. Screwed up and traded Hop and John Taylor for Chubb, Mike Williams, and AB on a whim. I don't think it's a horrible trade. I don't think it's awful, but I mean, yeah, I'd probably prefer the other side, but that's not awful. I think it's pretty fair there. Herbert and Mike Williams be more fair. He has him as well as Josh Jacobs. Yeah, that's definitely more fair. I'm not into Josh Jacobs at all, but yeah, that seems more fair to me. Matt B, Hunt, Crowder, or Swift? Would you sit Harris against Denver? Not sitting Najee, no. And I like Swift here in PPR, Matt. Should be looking at trading Julio, Claypool, or Mike Thomas now? Yeah, I mean, maybe he's the right price. Come on, guy. What's with the weird questions? Would you trade this guy? Yeah, of course I could trade him at the right price. If I'm getting a good value, yeah, everybody's tradable. Like, what do you expect me to answer that with? Drop Kirk for Tim Patrick Jefferson or Randall Cobb. Who's Jefferson? I mean, obviously not Justin Jefferson. Van Jefferson. Okay, I see it now. That's clear. I'd probably keep Kirk over all those, but maybe Patrick, I would say. Matt, can't go wrong with Swift or Hunt. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going Swift there, even though Hunt's been pretty good. I like the upside of Swift. Even though I don't think the Vikings dominate that. Knox, who's there in the end zone. Yes, I'm here all week. I love it, Denny. I love your corny-ass jokes. You make me smile, man. I appreciate it. No locker room problems in Jacksonville scare you away. I mean, if anything, Meyer getting fired and the team rallying around whoever comes up for him, Darren Bevel. Like, I like Bevel. Get rid of Meyer. He's such a poison. The team hates him. Those problems are real, but I can see the team rallying around each other and getting rid of that bozo. But yeah, Urban Myers does terrify the shit out of me until he's gone. Going for Zeke or Eckler with Gibson and CPAT. I mean, yeah. Yes, I could do that for sure. That makes more sense. Like if you can get a number one like that, absolutely. Offered Kyler and Patterson for Aaron Jones. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty fair. What to do with Rashad Bateman? Let's see what happens at this point, right? If you've been holding him this long, don't drop him. I'm nervous because I had a shot at Tony and Josh Gordon this morning, and I kept Bateman over them. I have a feeling I'm going to regret that, at least because I really think Kadarius is looking like a stud. But now I'm in. Let's see what Bateman does, baby. I'm there. Carlos, full 16-man league, need an RB. RBs are Aaron Jones, Damian Harris, Naeem Hines. Receivers are DK, Godwin, Deontay, Brandon Cooks, Marvin Jones. I was going to say, you don't need I thought you said you needed a receiver. I mean, I really think Harris is going to really turn this thing around. If you can pull off like Naeem Hines and, you're probably going to have to give up like a Godwin, right? And get a quality, like low end one, high end two. But I do think Damian Harris is about to go on a tear. So I wouldn't force a deal, but try to package some of this stuff up and see if you can get a low end RB1, Carlos, for sure. Those are some pretty damn good players for a 16-man league, for sure. All righty, guys. Well, cheers to week 5. That's my first run of the the rankings this week. We will be live tomorrow again at 7 p.m. Back to a normal Thursday. I'm pumped. It's been a couple of weeks. One week I was flying. Next week I had student parent teacher night. Now we're back, baby. 7 p.m. Thursday night football kickoff. We'll finalize any players you got. Is Collins going to be startable? Is Chris Carson going to be in? We'll find out tomorrow, folks. In addition to any other questions you have, thank you guys so much for interacting with each other, for asking so many great questions throughout the night. I greatly appreciate it all. And if you haven't already, just boom. Give me that thumbs up if you liked what you saw. If you could give us a like, a subscription, all that good stuff. Hit that bell so you can always get your questions on in. And Mike, I don't think I'm going to do much, maybe like 5 a month. You tell me what you think is fair. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you think would be a fair price. I'm not trying to rip people off, but I do it's just one of those crazy ass years that I want to give it full attention to people like you that show up time and time again. A lot of people that do want to support the site. So I don't want to go overboard, but something like $5 a month, buy me a beer, something of that nature is what I'll probably be doing. So we'll see, but message me. You tell me what you think is fair. For sure. We thought about doing like a service, like $1 a question or something like that, but I don't know. I'd rather help the people that just want to kind of be there and show up. So we'll see. But again, guys, thank you so much. You take care as well, Bo. Tell me how you say a name. I feel bad that I couldn't pronounce it the right way all show. RoastRejournal.com is where we breed and feed you fantasy wolves. You can find all our content, these rankings, and so much more on the site. Trade value charts for all you guys asking those questions. Buy low, sell high. We're killing it, guys. We're killing it. So check out all the content on the site. We have such a great crew of writers. If you prefer podcasts as well, Fantasy Fullback Dive, we paved your path. You can find all these the next day for audio as well. Thank you guys again so much for being here. In a world full of fantasy sheep, be the wolf, guys. See you later.